Andrew Mountbatten Windsor will not receive any special protection from the explosive U.S. government Epstein files set to be released in the coming weeks, the Mirror can reveal. The impending document dump threatens to expose the disgraced Duke of York to a level of scrutiny far exceeding anything he has faced before, shattering any lingering hopes of privacy or leniency. Despite alleged attempts in Washington to limit what becomes public, sources say the former prince will not be spared, even as the White House reportedly moves to shield Donald Trump, senior Republicans and wealthy donors from exposure. This clear message underscores the fundamental difference between the British monarchy's culture of secrecy and the transparency demands of the American legal system. Political pressure mounts. The call to testify. The revelation comes as political pressure mounts for Andrew to testify before the U.S. Congress about his links to Jeffrey Epstein. Mountbatten Windsor, 65, was seen riding through the grounds of Windsor Castle today, looking subdued as he took his horses out with a female companion. This image of quiet melancholy contrasts sharply with the frantic, high-stakes political maneuvering taking place across the Atlantic, where sources say doors are closing quickly around him. Victims' advocates believe that U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel will use U.S. national security claims and references to ongoing criminal investigations to shield dozens of Epstein associates. But Andrew will not be on any protected list. One U.S. official with knowledge of discussions issued a damning clarification regarding his status. This isn't Britain. There is no royal exemption, no special secrecy clause. This statement serves as a formal rejection of any perceived diplomatic immunity based on his former rank. Beyond the tip of the iceberg, the Visosky logs. The files are held across multiple agencies, including the Department of Justice, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. They contain surveillance logs, interview transcripts, operational notes and, crucially, the flight records of Epstein's longest-serving pilot, Larry Visosky, which have so far remained sealed. While the flight logs of former Epstein pilot David Rogers, which damningly placed Andrew on the notorious Lolita Express, have been public for years, Visosky's records are far more extensive. As Epstein's chief pilot for nearly 3 decades, he flew the disgraced financier on roughly 1,000 trips between New York, Florida, New Mexico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. A U.S. legal source delivered a chilling warning about the scope of the revelations. Rogers' logs were the tip of the iceberg. Visosky flew many more trips to various destinations, with numerous VIPs. Those records are expected to name individuals not previously linked to Epstein's movements, and yes, Andrew is on them. Potentially more times than the public currently knows. Such a revelation would drag the former Duke of York further into a crisis of credibility and public outrage. Andrew has repeatedly denied wrongdoing in connection with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, but has long faced questions over his visits to his pedophile pal's properties and the infamous photo with Virginia Giuffre. The White House stance: no redaction for embarrassment. Inside Washington, officials are wrestling with the diplomatic fallout. One senior figure said the White House is working around the clock to reduce the volume of released documents, adding, "The priority is protecting intelligence assets and active investigations, not reputations." But there's a reason President Trump is calling for further investigations. New probes could delay or block releases. Critically, the official was adamant that embarrassment alone should not be grounds for redaction, a direct counterpoint to any royal appeals. We can redact for classification, witness safety and prosecutorial integrity. What we should not do is recede to save embarrassment. Royal or not, irrelevant, they said. Vysotsky's logs are believed to include passenger manifests, crew notes, timings and handwritten entries. If you think you've seen the worst of the flight information, you're mistaken, the source added. Rogers covered a fraction. Vysotsky flew the bulk of Epstein's movements. Buckingham Palace must surely fear that further disclosures could contradict Andrews' past public claims. Attempts to block publication are viewed as hopeless. There is too much political pressure, said the source. The Senate can stall. The White House can stall. But the files will come out, and when they do, all manner of names will be visible. The consensus in Washington is that the truth, however damaging, is inevitable. The scapegoat fear and political condemnation. Privately, Andrews' allies fear he is being scapegoated by an American process he cannot control. This feeling of being singled out intensified after Labour leader Keir Starmer broke convention at the weekend by commenting while at the G20 summit in South Africa. Anybody who has got relevant information in relation to these kinds of cases should give evidence, he said. Asked whether that applied to Andrew, he replied, "If you have relevant information, you should be prepared to share it." This public commentary from a major UK political figure highlights the extreme pressure on the former prince. Andrew has ignored a formal request from Democrats on the House Oversight Committee to testify about his ties to Epstein. Lawmakers gave him 2 weeks to respond, but he failed to do so. Their resolution, demanding the full release of the files, passed the House 427-1, then cleared the Senate before being signed, demonstrating a unified political will to reveal the truth. Epstein died in his Manhattan jail cell in August 2019 while awaiting trial, a death ruled suicide but mired in conspiracy theories. Maxwell was convicted in 2021 of sex trafficking minors and conspiracy and is serving a 20-year sentence. Andrew's current woes are a direct consequence of this devastating legal history, which he now faces without the shield of his royal status. Given the inevitability of the file release and the mounting political pressure, what is the single greatest risk to the stability of the monarchy that these new documents could pose?